All right, let's journey back in time. Way back. We're heading to Athens in 399 BC to witness one of the most pivotal trials in all of history, the trial of Socrates. Our guide for this is the account written by his most famous student, Plato. And believe me, this trial didn't just decide one man's fate, it set the course for all of Western philosophy.
Just think about this for a second. What if the simple act of asking questions, of challenging what everyone around you thinks they know, what if that was a crime so serious you could be put to death for it? It sounds completely wild, but that's the exact situation Socrates found himself in.
Okay, first things first, we got to clear something up about the title, apology. It's not what you think. The Greek word apologia doesn't mean saying I'm sorry. It means a defense, a formal, reasoned argument. So Socrates is not here to apologize for anything. Nope, he's here to defend his entire life's work. This is a courtroom drama, not a plea for forgiveness.
So, the stage is set. Let's get right into it. Picture this. Socrates, a man in his 70s, stands before a massive jury of 501 of his fellow Athenians. And right from the get-go, he tells them he's not going to play the usual courtroom games. There won't be any flowery language or emotional pleas for pity. He's just going to talk the way he always talks, plainly, directly, and honestly.
Now, Socrates is a sharp guy. He knows he's not just fighting the official charges brought against him that day. He's also up against something way more powerful and a lot harder to beat: decades of rumors and public prejudice.
And this slide lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, you've got these old slanders, right? These are the rumors that have been floating around for years, painting him as this weirdo who questions everything. And that bad reputation, that's what paved the way for the formal indictment on the right, the one brought by his accusers, Miletus, Anathus, and Lycon. He has to take down both sets of accusations.
So how does he defend himself? You might think he'd try to poke holes in their arguments, but he does something completely different. He explains that his whole life of questioning people wasn't just a hobby, it was a divine mission.
And it all started here. See, his friend Chaerephon went to the famous oracle at Delphi and asked a simple question: is anyone wiser than Socrates? The oracle's answer? No. Now, this was a real head-scratcher for Socrates because he was convinced he knew absolutely nothing. So he set out on a quest to find someone wiser, basically to prove the god wrong.
And what he did next is what got him into so much trouble. He went around Athens and started questioning all the people who were supposed to be wise. First, the politicians. He found out they were pretty clueless. Then, the poets. Turns out they couldn't even explain their own brilliant poems. And finally, the artisans. They were skilled at their jobs for sure, but that made them think they were experts on everything else. And by exposing all this, well, you can guess what happened. He made a lot of powerful enemies.
And in that whole process, he finally understood the oracle's riddle. True wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's the exact opposite. It's about being deeply, truly aware of how little you actually know. That, right there, is Socratic wisdom.
He then gives the court this incredible metaphor. He says Athens is like a giant, strong horse, but it's gotten lazy and slow. And he, Socrates, is the gadfly, a little annoying insect sent by God to bite the horse and wake it up. He's basically saying, yeah, I know I'm a pain, but you need me to keep you sharp.
And this leads to his most defiant moment. He looks the jury right in the eye and tells them that even if they let him go on the condition that he stops doing philosophy, he will refuse. His duty is to God, not to them. His mission is non-negotiable, even if it costs him his life.
And with that, Socrates rests his case. The 501 jurors cast their votes.
The verdict comes in: guilty.
But here's the thing. It was incredibly close. If just 30 jurors had voted the other way, he would have been a free man. Now, in Athenian trials, this is where things get interesting. Both sides propose a penalty, and the jury just picks one.
So, the prosecution, no surprise, asks for the death penalty. But Socrates' counterproposal is just stunning. He argues that for his service to the city, for being its gadfly, he doesn't deserve a punishment at all. He deserves a reward: free meals for life at the Prytaneum, a huge honor usually reserved for Olympic champions.
You can imagine how that went over. This outrageous suggestion basically seals his fate. His friends, including Plato, managed to convince him to offer something more realistic, a pretty big fine that they'd all chip in to pay, but it was too little too late. The damage was done. The jury felt mocked, and when they voted again on the penalty, they sentenced him to death by a much wider margin.
So that's it. He's been condemned to die. But does he get angry or scared? Nope. He does what he has always done. He uses philosophy to think about what's happening to him.
He tells everyone that they've all been in a race. He, an old man, was caught by the slower runner, death. But his accusers, he says, they were caught by the faster runner, wickedness. He kept his integrity, but they condemned an innocent man.
Then he just calmly considers what death might actually be. Okay, possibility 1. It's nothing. Just a deep, peaceful, dreamless sleep. And really, he says, who wouldn't call a perfect night's sleep an unspeakable gain? There's nothing to be afraid of there.
But possibility 2? Well, for a guy like Socrates, this one is even better. Maybe death is a journey to another place, a place where he could meet and question all the great heroes from history, Homer, Odysseus, you name it. For a man who lived to ask questions, that's not a punishment, that's paradise.
And this all comes back to his most fundamental belief. Whether death is an endless sleep or an endless conversation, he's not afraid. He's totally convinced that if you live a good and virtuous life, nothing can truly harm your soul. Not poverty, not exile, and not even death itself.
And he leaves the court, and all of us, with his final, haunting thought. With these words, Socrates walks to his death, but he leaves behind a question that has echoed through the ages, cementing his legacy as philosophy's first martyr, a man who proved he would rather die than live an unexamined life.